So where I picked up these roads, this is Thailand roads, I think. Are you happy with these roads? Anybody wants to comment on this one? It's very reasonable roads. The top one, possibly it's a rural road, which have a shoulder here, quite good. It's a 1 meter shoulder. And this one, again, possibly between urban and rural. But you have a quite 2-lane and a center and also the shoulders. And this is an urban area. This is a photograph from, I think I picked up from Thailand, photos from the internet.
Definitely Thailand.
Yeah, definitely it's Thailand photos, right? This is also Thailand. But if you see this one, it's a really low volume road probably. So it doesn't have a proper line marking and things like that. Similarly this one. But it's dependent upon where you live. That's okay. But when you come to this slide, that's reasonable. You have a line marking, but you have no shoulder here. That probably gives some troubles in future if you don't have a shoulders, proper shoulders. And this one also quite good. Surface is reasonably good. Line marking is there. Reasonable geometry. Everything is reasonable. But again, no shoulder. This is Australian road. Very rural area. Can you see this one? So line marking is reasonably good. Shoulders are good. You have a guide post. And heavy trucks are running on that one. This is a good example. This not very hugely populated area in Australia. It's about maybe 500 vehicles a day type road. I just wanted to highlight the differences. This is another road in Queensland, a very remote area. Can you see the difference between Thailand roads and the Australian roads? This has a guide post very well, guardrails are there, signs marked very well, and all the line marking is very good. And this road also, I think it's about 200 to 500 vehicles a day. It's not very hugely populated area, very remote area, but I just wanted to compare Australian roads and the Thailand roads, just to get the feeling.
Yeah, I got it.
So if you have any questions while I'm doing, please stop me and ask the question. Don't worry about, right? I'm very flexible. If you get bored in some early morning, maybe my presentation might get bored, you have to ask questions, then you will be awake. So this is a little bit urban area in Australia. I just wanted to give a little bit feeling for you. And this is very close to the urban area, but about 40,000 vehicles a day in this road in Australia. It is about 40 kilometers from my home. So it's quite good road. You have a very well 3 lanes each side. Very well, you can see the vehicles, how it travels, very disciplined manner. Just wanted to show you how this work. I need that, doesn't matter. So what's happening when you have roads? You have to operate vehicles, right? Vehicles, if you have a cars running on roads, I think there's no big impact on the pavements. Engineers are not worried about light vehicles, especially pavement designers don't worry about the light vehicles, whatever the percentage. But when you come to the heavy vehicles, that's the issue. We are designing for the heavy vehicles. We are designing for equivalent standard axle loads. I think I put a little bit the photographs here. So few things here, this side. I think probably Thailand, probably you have this kind of vehicles. Buses are there, trucks are there. But in Australia, it's huge vehicles are running on roads. This is called B double. This, but it's quite standardized. There's no big impact on those vehicles because number of axles are there to distribute the load. So not like sometimes this a small vehicle giving more damage to the pavements than this vehicle, because the standards have maintained. So if you overloaded this vehicle, damage is huge. Even a small buses, especially in the countries, Asian countries, is fully loaded, that damage lot. That's operational issues we have to think about when you're operating payments. So even this truck doesn't matter. Can you see the number of axles you have? So the whole load is distributing along the pavements. There is no special damage. It's expected damages only. But if you overload this vehicle, that damage more. So I just wanted to highlight this a little bit. I took this photograph. I think it's Thailand photos, except this one. Probably this one is Thailand. This one is Thailand. Probably this one as well. What will happen when you operate heavy vehicles? Starting to get damage. So you start developing cracks, what Tops has mentioned, cracks, rutting, cracking, all kind of things, cross-sectional cracks, longitudinal cracks, crocodile cracks, all kind of cracks starting to create. And also once you happens, it will be end of the day, you will start developing a potholes. So that's a sign of failure. Or else if you see in this one, you have edge failures. Probably this doesn't have a shoulder. That could be the reason why that shoulder is more damaged than the center part of that one. I don't know. So these are the defects what Tops has touched in that one. You have a crack here. You have another crack. This is a really damaged road in Australia. It's fairly bad road. This is a rutting, pothole patching. And this failure is due to the skid resistant failures. You have flush sealing. So very dangerous to drive in the wet weather situations. So what's happened when you wet the damage to the pavements? You start looking at pavement repairs. Pavement repairs means lot of expenses. So you have various treatments. You have various expenditures, you have various treatment times. I just want to show you some of the things which we normally do. When your payments are damaged, you do the repairs. Repairs means very costly. I'll come back to that one. So, next slide. This is another way of maintenance. This slide. What will happen if you don't do maintenance? This is what going to happen. I think Tops touch about the life cycle graph. If you don't do the proper maintenance, right intervention, this is the end of the story. So the whole road is damaged, completely damaged. What we have to do is, instead of doing maintenance, we have to come and reconstruct the whole road. So as engineers, we are responsible for these ones. So I'll touch a little bit about life cycle costing, and Tops mentioned about that. If you intervene in the right time on the pavement maintenance, you can reduce the cost. We estimated the cost is 1/4 when you allow that to deteriorate fully damaged like this, then reconstruct. Reconstruction cost for the life cycle is 4 times higher than the maintenance. If you maintain the payments in a correct time, correct treatment, I think you can save a lot of money. That's what I want to bring in. So this is what about again failures and issues. At the same time, we have other issues we are facing. What is road authorities are doing? This is mostly Australians. It's a population growth. When the population growth is happened, what happened? There's a demand for roads, and the economy grows. Economy grows in the sense, if your economic situation goes high, what will happen? You buy a car. If you have a car in Australia, my experience when I went to Australia about 15 years ago, everybody has one car. But if you go now, everybody has at least 3 to 4 cars because economy is improved. Similarly, Thailand as well, when the economic situation grows in the village and things like that, I have seen in the Sri Lanka. I am from Sri Lanka originally. And the economic improves, then the people tend to buy new cars, new requirements. New requirements means the goods also need to be transported extra. So everything is effect to our road network. So we have to think about that one. High growth freight industry. In Australia, mining industry is huge now. We are exporting a lot of coal, iron ore to China. So all these things has to be transported to the ports. So that means damage to the roads. And the farming also huge in Australia. I think in Thailand also it will happen. So that means you need transport system. Transport system has a lot of challenges to cater for that one. Then in Australia there's a huge discussion going on with the National Transport Commission, which is they are demanding to increase the axle loads. We have 9-ton axle limit, but the industry demanding higher than that. In China, it's 10 ton. It's like that they are demanding. If it is increased to 10 tons, our payments has to be improved. So now say we have about 500 millimeter payment, it can be no catering. I think you can't cater for that kind of vehicles in 500 millimeters. You have to improve to maybe 700. So that pressure is there. And also Australian roads are aging. Some of the roads are 50 years, 60 years old, haven't done anything much. So that's really difficult to maintain. You need a lot of money. Also public expectation is high now. People want a perfect roads, smooth travel. So what can we do? So you have to do resurfacing very often to cater to public demand. And also climate change. Climate change, as I mentioned, extreme weather conditions. I think it's facing all over the world now. In Australia these days we have cyclones, floods and things like that. Suddenly it's dry up and a drought is coming. So like that, there are difficult issues. So everywhere in the world it is happening now, extreme weather condition. So when you do payment designs, we have to think about those ones. So we are talking about now sustainable payments. I'll touch in that one later because it is easy and cost effective. If you think about sustainable payment in future rather than 20-year-old payments, go for 40 years, 50 years payments. So these are some of the things. Then also carbon constrained operating scenarios, because this is another huge international issue. Whenever we do jobs, we have to think about this one. Now we have asphalt, what is called green asphalt. So do we need to introduce green asphalt for our payments? So cut down the carbon emissions. So these are the issues. Then one of the biggest thing is capital versus maintenance funding. Most of the politicians provide money for capital improvements, but forgetting about maintenance. Then our existing infrastructure will fail. So you have to think about this one. And also resource constraints all the time. Aggregates, good aggregates, probably not enough, and things like that. So that's what I want to bring it, what is called asset management. Is anybody working on this subject? Can you put your hands up about asset management? I think you all are doing, but don't call us asset management. You probably call payment management or something like that. But asset management is a little bit beyond payment management. This is the trend in the world now. Australians, we have been doing for last 15 years what is called asset management. Actually, I'm one of the experts working with the World Bank and the Asian Development Bank about asset management. So I just wanted to introduce we all know about asset management, but a little bit specific this one. So we'll go to there are a lot of slides I have to go through. I'll go a little bit quickly, but if I'm going too fast, please let me know. I go slow. I think I'm going a little bit fast. But some of the slides are pictures. I'll pass it very quickly. All right. And a definition of asset management. This is Austroads. I think Austroads is the body in Australia who manage all the roads, standards and things like that. I'm not going through much, but very first sentence it says comprehensive and structured approach. I think that's the most important word, two words you have to remember on asset management: comprehensive and structured. So we all do maintenance, construction, operations and everything, but asset management means all together, working together, not only those ones, even the policies, strategies, things like that. I'll come back to that one. This is OECD definition. This is OECD means the Western world, the PIAC is a world body defined this way: systematic process of effective maintaining, upgrading, operating assets, combining engineering principle with sound business practice and economic rationale, providing the tools to facilitate more organized and flexible approach to making decisions necessary to achieve the public expectation. So one of the things I want to highlight there is decisions. Investment decisions are the most important thing. So you have about billion baht. How to invest your billion baht in properly? Asset management provides that support. So how to get the maximum benefits out of your investment? That you have to remember. So we do payment management. Somebody touch about payment management, and university is doing payment management. They all do what is called economic analysis, long-term economic analysis. So what is the return from your investment? That's the way you have to think about. If you are doing something, you have to have a return for that one. So asset management provides maximum benefits out of your budget, and also if you are working in a road sector, in a road organization, the biggest thing is government give money to you and you have to take decisions how to split the money. So asset management analysis will provide you for the decision support. So that's what asset management is very important. And asset management objectives, I think the TOPS try to connect to the life cycle management. This is the exactly asset management means life cycle management, but TOPS is talking about the payment life cycle. But we are talking about beyond that one. That there are more assets in the infrastructure. Payments is the biggest asset. You have a bridges and things like that. So can you see this diagram TOPS mentioned? That's the payments area. So the main objective is minimizing the life costing of management of infrastructure. There are components in this one. Have you anybody heard about PAS 55? British Standards PAS 55? PAS 55? This is one of the, not latest, about it's established about 3-4 years ago, which is recognized, well recognized in the world, the number one asset management guidelines, right? It is a British standards. In that standards, it's spelled out, these are the components has to be in asset management. So it's spelled out in the policy, strategy, objective, plans, things like that, and implementation, asset management, performance assessment, improvements, and management reviews. This is like just a management, but you have to bring into the asset management. But most of the engineers interest about what are the influential factors. This is what I put this one. Influential factors on effectiveness of asset management systems. You have to have a structure in your organization, very good structure. That gentleman asked me about expressway. Actually, this photograph I have taken from Sri Lankan, my project. I introduce all these ones.